Welcome back. Since its founding in 1895, Union Settlement has been a vital resource for residents of all ages, offering a wide range of programs that focus on education, wellness, and community building. This organization is deeply committed to advocating for the needs of underserved communities, ensuring that every individual has the opportunity to improve their life and realize their goals. Here now is the president and CEO of Union Settlement, Dr. Darlene Williams. Darlene, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Now, I just throughout my work, I've seen so much of Union Settlement in the Bronx. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the organization and its original mission?
Yes, absolutely. So Union Settlement was founded in 1895. So we are celebrating 130th anniversary next year. And we're really excited about that and have a lot of events planned for this journey to 130. We were originally founded by people from Union Theological Seminary. So there's a spiritual base to Union Settlement. And our mission is really to make sure that we provide resources, services, and support for individuals in East Harlem and Harlem in general so they can thrive and get resources so they can have sustainable lives for themselves and their families. And we do that through an array of different types of services.
Now, can you talk about, as I mentioned, it started many, many years ago. Can you talk about how the organization has evolved to meet the needs of East Harlem residents and just people in general who are coming from underserved communities?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I when I joined Union Settlement, one thing that I noticed is there isn't anything related to social services that we don't do. So we have a full youth development program. So it's our youth development opportunity. We service youth from all ages and all backgrounds in school, and that includes workforce development, college readiness, educational services, and support for families. But also we have different programs such as gun violence prevention, a Young Women and Men Initiative, and just empowerment for our youth in our community. All of our programs are in NYCHA developments, so New York City Housing Authority developments. So we service individuals who are at the highest need in our community. And our youth in particular suffer a lot of disparities in East Harlem. So we want to make sure that our programs are tailored to meet the youth and programs that they want to participate in. We also have a full senior program. So our older adults in East Harlem are very active in the community, but also is an under-resourced population that doesn't really get a lot of attention. So we ensure that our seniors have food insecurity concerns. We address that. Our Meals on Wheels program serves approximately 400 meals a day to homebound seniors in East Harlem. And those are hot meals that we cook ourselves. But we also have activities for our seniors as well. Economic development, all throughout COVID, I think Union Settlement was a key pillar in the community in helping our businesses, particularly our small businesses, stay afloat during COVID and through hard economic times. So we service about 800 small businesses across East Harlem, and we just received $1 million grant from Governor Hochul to reestablish some really safety items and beautification across 116th Street. We have a full mental health clinic for families, adults, children, individuals, and we provide all types of services there, individual and group counseling in the office and also telehealth clinic. We have 5 different early childcare education programs in our NYCHA development. So, from universal pre K, Head Start programming, we also provide services for 6 week old to children that want to go to school and home childcare with very strong providers. We have an education program, adult education program. So, individuals, particularly migrating to the United States, we have about 1,700 recent arrivals in East Harlem. So, we provide classes such as English as a second language, financial literacy, workforce development classes, computer skills, everything someone would need to be able to migrate and really get acclimated to working in New York City. And then we also have our community programs. We have a family enrichment program, which is a beautiful center right on 111th Street, where our families can come into a safe space and meet with their case managers, meet with their children if they're supervised visits, and just have a time to just be who they are together in a very comfortable environment. Um, and with that program, funded by ACS, we also have a benefits program to help individuals identify benefits that they may be eligible for in New York City, such as working with HRA, working with SNAP, working with ACS to get child subsidies for their child care services, and also any other partnerships. I can go on and on about Union Settlement because there's so much that we do to service East Harlem. But I think one thing that I would really want to highlight as far as our evolution is am the first person of color and the first woman to be the president and CEO in our 130-year history. And with that, I think is important to note that most of our staff members, about 85%, are from the community. So not only is Union Summit being led by someone who looks like the community we serve, has experienced some of the same issues our community has experienced, but our staff as well. So we can truly relate to the population that we serve. And I think that makes a big difference.
And with that being said, how does Union Settlement stay true to its values of compassion, in this case, diversity, excellence, integrity, and respect in its daily operations?
It's an excellent question. So we are a settlement house. And, one thing that we're doing in my administration is getting back to that settlement house model. Settlement houses were formed to help people migrate to the United States, but also to make sure that individuals have the resources that they need. So we want to make sure that we unite with our fellow settlement houses across New York City, stay true to that mission, and our programs should be what the community needs. One of our models is Union Settlement is for the community, by the community. So getting that community input is very important because we don't want to be a nonprofit that just develops programs and it's not something that our community needs today in 2024. So we make sure that we include the community in that conversation. We chair the East Harlem Community Alliance, which is a consortium of about 200 stakeholders across East Harlem. And part of that is really getting the voices of the community into Union Settlement, into what we do. And that model is true for most of our programs because we have community advisory groups that work to really make sure that we're getting that message across, but that also our ears are open to the community. So I think that's really important to stay true to the mission. When the community is involved, the community wins.
Now, you talked about some of the programs. I want to highlight the tutoring programs. Can you just tell us about the impact the intergenerational programs have had on both students and the tutors involved?
Yeah, another very good question because one thing about Union Settlement is we care for individuals from 6 weeks old to our older adults and our seniors. So a lot of times we're taking entire families. We'll have an infant in our daycare center in one of our home-based daycare centers. We'll have a toddler in our ECE program. We'll have a youth of that family that we're caring for in school or in a mental health clinic. And then we'll have one of the seniors that we're taking care of as well. So I think that the only way to break generational poverty is to make sure that you attack it at every level of the household. And that's a critical feature of union settlement because we're so concentrated in particular areas and focused on every aspect of someone's life that we're able really to make a strong impact on the entire household, particularly when it comes to economic development, workforce development, education, and skills building, but also any mental health concerns that we have available as well in our clinics that we take care of. So that's really important to me. Um, the diversity aspect. So when I think of DE&I, for me it's DEIA and B. So it's diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging. And I add accessibility and belonging because we can have a diverse workforce. We can ensure that there's equitable and inclusive policies. But if it's not accessible to you, then you don't have access to it. So accessibility is a key piece. And belonging to me is also important, being the first person of color at Union Settlement. If I get to the table and I feel like I don't belong or I'm ostracized, I'll leave the table. So then diversity and inclusion really doesn't matter. So it's important to make sure that our culture, our programs, our services include an aspect of ensuring that people have access to it, but also that it's a nurturing environment and people feel like they belong.
Now, can you tell us about the family child care networks? And with that, can you also share some success stories of families who've been a part of the program and how it's impacted their lives?
Absolutely. So the Family Child Care Network is an amazing program because I remember so I have three children, they're all grown, but I remember being a parent at home with a 6 week old baby, and you're told you have to go back to work after 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and your child is too young for traditional daycare. So the Family Child Care Network cares for infants aged 6 weeks old until they can go into the early child care program, which is usually 3K. And that's been really successful because most of our providers are also people from the community that want to start a business. They want to be able to provide childcare in their home. So we help them with that process. We make sure they have the resources, the equipment, the furniture to have a childcare in their home, but also that it's safe and appropriate. And then we allow families to go back to work after 6 weeks or go back to school and have the comfort of knowing that they're in a program that they feel safe. As far as success stories, as we celebrate our 130th anniversary, which is coming up, I mentioned our big kickoff is going to be on August 5th, where we're going to have a major ribbon cutting right on our grounds in our garden. We've done a beautification project, so we'll get to really display just everything that we've done at Union Settlement. Before that, next week on June 13th, we're starting with a corporate night of prayer. So we're inviting the East Harlem community in from all faiths to come in and pray with us for the kickoff. And I mention that because a success story is, we had a recent graduate from high school who the child wasn't doing very well when he first started with Union Settlement. He really didn't think that this was the program for him, but he ended up graduating at the top of his class and getting accepted to college. And his family is able to take him to college because one of our founding families, the Gaylord White family, they provide scholarships every year through our college readiness program. And they are actually coming to our graduation ceremony to give the scholarship personally to this child. So that's going to be an amazing day that we see at the end of June.
That's amazing, and I love to hear these type of stories because it shows that it's possible. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, how does Union Settlement engage with local leaders and residents to identify community strengths as well as needs?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mentioned the East Harlem Community Alliance, and that consortium, again, is about 200 stakeholders across East Harlem. So, we gather quarterly to meet at Union Settlement, and it's really an open conversation to talk about the needs of the community, how it's evolving, what programs we need to incorporate to make sure that we are evolving with the organization, but also what the community needs from us as a settlement house, which is quite different from what the community needs from a traditional nonprofit organization. I will also say, I think, one thing in particular about Union Settlement is, especially through our Family Enrichment Center and our partnership program, our doors are always open. We sit in East Harlem. Our teams are in Nitro Developments. Through our child care program, we are right there in the buildings in the community center. So our families are always able to come and talk with us. We have a family advisory board that works with us through our ECE programs. And in our child care program that really functions out of most of the NYCHA developments, there are regular meetings with the teachers, with the directors to really just get that input. I think because our staff are from the community, and they understand the importance of community support, is something that is not only required, it's inviting. So you could never stop a staff member from saying, hey, by the way, this community member walked in and talked with us and has a concern, and bringing that to my attention and to the attention of leadership. And, one other thing that I would mention with that, our board of directors. We have a very special board of directors, but one requirement is that we have community members on the board. So since I joined over a year ago, we have added three new members of the community who still live in East Harlem on our board of directors. So it's not just individuals who are disconnected and just want to have a seat on the board. We have people who actually understand the work that we do and the importance, and their voices at the table in our board meetings.
Now, I'm curious to know the organization has been thriving since 1895, which is a very, very long time. And it's also just an achievement to still be out here doing this work. What do you hope to see for the future of the organization and how it, continues to support the people of the community?
Yes, 1895. This journey to 130 is going to be an amazing year. So I hope you keep up with us, and we're able to have more conversations to see all the work that's happening. I would say to continue to evolve. One thing about union settlement is as times change and as the needs of the community changes and the demographic changes, we evolve with the community. So, what I hope to accomplish is to ensure that we continue to get back to the foundation of why we're here, which is the settlement house model. Continue to make sure that we establish programs and services to meet the needs of the community in every way possible, diversity, time, location. The way the programs are structured, translation services, childcare services, but also branch out. We're in East Harlem and we've been in East Harlem for, 130 years, but there are programs that are across the street or right next door and people that we can partner with to really establish a greater infrastructure across the neighborhoods. I'm a strong believer in one organization doesn't have to do everything. The more we partner and collaborate with our fellow organizations, the stronger we'll be and the better our service and more efficient our services to the community. So I'm looking forward to establishing more partnerships across the network so that we can make sure that we have a stronger footprint across East Harlem.
And what can people watching or organizations do to further support, the organization? We're here located in the Bronx, but as many people know, we're all a family here in New York City. We have members who live in East Harlem, or people, friends, families that we know that are from Harlem. So, what can people do to support your organization?
So donate your time, your money, your resources. As most nonprofits, we all know we're mostly funded by the city. And unfortunately, the city doesn't provide adequate resources to provide services. We want to make sure we supplement that. So, donating funds, you can reach us at Union Settlement, info at unionsettlement.org. So that's info at unionsettlement.org, one word. People can reach me directly, Dr. Williams at unionsettlement.org. That's Dr. Williams at unionsettlement.org. Participate in our events. So come out next week when we have our opening prayer night on June 13th, right at our garden. Our main office is in the Gaylord White Houses, which is named after the founder of Union Settlement. So that's at 237 East 104th Street that Thursday evening at 6 p.m. But also just donate your time coming in and being a mentor to our youth, reading to our children in ECE, helping our seniors with our gardening project. We have our own garden, and just being there, I think, is really important as well.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit of your community with us here in the Bronx. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.